Welcome and welcome back to another season of Leagues. Well, not quite. We've got Gridmaster, but it's basically Leagues in bingo form. I have been waiting for them to do some sort of big reveal, and we finally got that today, so let's jump into it. First things first, it's starting on October 15th. That one we already knew, but they did give us the times in a couple different time zones. Greatly appreciated. Although I don't see Central on here, which is the time zone I'm in. Come on, Jagex. But this will allow us to plan a little bit better for when we can skip out on work, call in sick, and jump onto the game. That's a joke, boss. Okay, I already put in my time off, all right? I'm not skipping. But of course, we're not here for the starting time. We are here for the grid. And they have finally given us a concrete grid that we can look at that has some of the activities that we're going to be using to unlock powers, and there's also this cool little flip button. So we actually get to see the powers too. There's nothing really hidden about what they've given us. We don't have to speculate. Now, it's a little hard to tell in this image. I'll overlay some colors to make it a little easier. You can actually see the way that bingos are normally set up. Certain tiles are going to be considered easier. Then you have kind of like a mid-tier difficulty and then a hard difficulty. So all of the easy stuff is going to be in sort of the center area. And the first one is the freebie, completing the Gridmaster tutorial. I'll have the news post linked in the description, so if you want to follow along and like actually interact with the image, they do have some cool little, like, you can click around on it. But you can see the way that this is going to work. You'll complete one of these actions, so complete the tutorial, and what that will give you is whatever is flipped on the other side of this. Now, we are seeing some return league powers, and this first one is going to be all of the gathering relics that we're used to. Now, it isn't confirmed if we're going to get all three, though I personally suspect that we are going to get all three of them. I don't think we're going to have to pick on this tile. And the reason I say that is because Gridmaster is only intended for 4 weeks. So it's a shorter time frame than what we would typically get for leagues. And while you might say, well, why would that mean we don't get to make a decision? I think that they're going to want to amp up a lot of what we do, because we're not locked to any particular area of the game with Gridmaster. We have access to everything, and so there's a lot of stuff that we're going to be able to do, a lot of stuff that we're going to have to do for these grids. So I actually think they're going to end up giving us all three of these powers on this unlock, just to kind of help ease the grind as we go through. But to talk about them a little bit, if you're not familiar, the first part of this power miner impacts mining and smithing. It also sort of impacts crafting a little bit. So it makes mining the rocks essentially guaranteed. Every time you fail, it becomes an increasing chance. So essentially, you're going to take 1 or 2 swings at a rock, you're going to get the ore out of it. Items that you gather, they're automatically banked. They can be automatically smithed as well. And it's also going to extend the life of ores that you're mining. You can see here, not depleted until you've mined at least 4 ores. So you sort of get a little bit more of like AFK Runite. I mean, not quite, because you're mining it pretty quick, but you're able to stick to a single rock for, a little while, right? It's going to make mining just in general a lot easier. And like I mentioned before, automatically smelting, automatically cutting gems, so gem rocks become really powerful for that early crafting. So all in all, this is going to be really good. And if I'm right, the fact that we don't have to pick between these three is going to make this even better. I'll circle back once I've shown all three of these, what I would pick if we do have to choose, but we'll pause on that for a minute. Next thing we get is better woodcutting, firemaking, fletching with the Lumberjack Relic. All of these are essentially borrowed from the Echo League that we got last year. So it's all similar effects. This is going to help you succeed in chopping trees, so kind of in the same way where if you fail a chop, you have a higher chance to succeed on the next one. It just essentially means you're more or less guaranteed to get the chop, and this is more important for those either super, super early logs, so like you're chopping the normal tree, sometimes it's a pain in the butt when you're low level, and also at the higher tier when you're chopping like magic trees and it takes a while, you'll see really big increases at both of those parts of the range. Things will be automatically banked. You can have logs automatically burned, or you can have them automatically fletched into arrow shafts. It's not great fletching XP, but it is fletching XP, so don't knock it. The last one, which I think was a big favorite for folks last year, is Animal Wrangler. And this one is giving you better fishing, better hunter, but also stacks with cooking as well. So like with the other two, you have better chances of catching the fish. There is a 50% chance that they'll automatically be cooked. So it's not 100, but if you're AFKing at something like Karambwans, you're still going to make your way up to 99 cooking pretty quickly. It is going to try and catch them faster. So really good for any sort of early food needs that you have, because you're just able to go to any of these fishing spots. Your fishing is going to be really fast. Your cooking is going to be going up. Things automatically cook. They're not getting burned. So you're having just a grand old time on that side of things. And also with the hunter side of it, you'll never fail to catch anything. Box traps are faster. Chinchompas are doubled with also double XP. So it's really, really fast for hunter. And impling jars aren't going to break as well. So you likely won't be spending a ton of time on implings when you're in this game mode, because chins are going to be just so fast for you anyway. Now, while I expect we're going to get all three of these, if you did have to choose, you're probably looking at either Power Miner or Animal Wrangler, because the woodcutting one just feels really weak by comparison. Not that I don't love woodcutting. I'm not trying to save the yew trees on this, all right? But fire making is already a fast skill. You're going to have access to things like Wintertod because you have access to the whole map. And the fletching XP here is kind of minimal. You know, while it is only running for a month, you are likely going to unlock things like Kingdom, which can give you maple logs. And even over the course of a month, you're going to get a fair amount of those that are going to help with things like fletching. We are going to see faster XP rates in general in the game mode, so you're not going to need the same level of resources that you're used to in the main game anyway. All in all, this one, it's a nice to have, but if you have to pick for it, the other two just offer you a lot more. Now, between the other two, I've tried both of these last year. It's kind of a toss-up for which skills you hate more. Fishing's already pretty AFK, and a lot of people are going to tell you that. They're not wrong. You can already AFK Karambwans pretty well. You're going to have access to Temperos. We're probably going to have better drop rates on the rare items, so getting something like a fishing barrel is probably pretty likely for you. It may even end up being one of the tiles for all we know. So I don't know how big of a deal the fishing one really is if you've got the time to AFK. Now, I still really liked this one, both for the fishing, but also for the hunter. The hunter is a weird one where, you know, we've had all these changes with Varlamore. We have hunter rumors, so there are better ways to train it. You don't necessarily have to go for this one, but man, does it feel good when you have it. Now, for Power Miner, obviously mining and smithing are some of the more tedious skills to train. Maybe not so much smithing, because we're going to have things like Blast Furnace available to us. We're going to have the Giant's Foundry minigame as well, which is really good for smithing and those boosted XP rates. Mining is one where, I mean, I guess you could go mine stars, and with the boosted XP rates, it's probably okay. But that's kind of it. You don't have a lot of options. So I almost think that you're going to feel this one a little bit more. It also will have some downstream effects where it helps you get more money in the game. Things like alchables, which there is a tile already showing that relates to alching. We'll come back to it here in a second. And it is fairly nice to have this as an option for crafting too. While using this to mine on gem rocks probably isn't going to get you all the way up into like the 80s or 90s with crafting, because cutting those gems just aren't that much XP from the rocks. It is really nice to have those early levels and really push towards, like 40, 50, 60 in crafting without having to worry about, doing quests or trying to farm out seaweed or, whatever other methods you plan to go for. So out of the three, this time around, I'm almost leaning towards Power Miner, but I do think you could go for either Power Miner or Animal Wrangler if you have to choose. I still think we're going to get all three of these, but I guess we'll have to see. So looking at the other tiles that are available, starting with that alchemy one, gain over 30,000 coins from one alchemy spell. Now they say over 30,000, a rune chain body is a 30,000 alch. I imagine that's going to count, but we may have to do something a little bit more. So, thinking about like maybe some dragon items, go and complete Lost City, get a dragon long from the shop, alch it, that sort of deal. Something that's really easily going to be able to kind of overcome that. Now, for the free-to-play side, you're probably going to have to complete something like Dragon Slayer and go for a rune plate body from Oziak. Though I suppose we'll see. If the rune chain body counts, then even just getting into the Champions Guild, that has a shop there. If you're members, you can go to Narda, you can buy one there. So there's a lot of options that I think we're going to be able to get this one quite easily. And it is marked as one of the easy tiles. Once we do that, we're going to get access to Production Prodigy. So they're not showing a choice here. This is just something that we straight up get to unlock. And I really like that this one is coming super early from a fairly easy challenge. One of the struggles, I think, in leagues is trying to make these decisions when these things are pitted against each other. We just straight up get this thing, so there's no comparison needed. Production Prodigy just makes all of your production-related skills, so smithing, fletching, herb lore, crafting, cooking, all of them are going to be significantly easier for you. It's essentially going to allow you to do all of those actions you'd normally do, like smelting a bar, turning the bar into something, making headless arrows, cleaning herbs. They've got a number of examples listed out here, but it lets you do all of those in essentially one go. So if you've got an inventory full of gems and you go to cut the gems, you cut all 27 of them. Same deal if you're trying to cook food. You know, you've got your 28 ones in your inventory. You cook one, it cooks all of them. So this is a super nice quality of life thing to pick up. And because it's tied to that 30,000 alch, we'll be able to pick this one up fairly quickly. Now, if we do have to pick between those gathering relics, this may change your opinion on which one you want to do. I would still pick one of the two that I listed out there, Power Miner or Animal Wrangler. And if we do have to pick, we do have access to this one, maybe I lean towards Animal Wrangler. I'm not a big fan of Hunter. So being able to speed that skill up specifically, I think will be really helpful. I have the time to go in AFK stars myself, so I'll be able to solve mining. And then Production Prodigy will help a lot in solving smithing. You don't get a ton of bars from everything, but you do get a fair amount of them from doing, you know, random PVM activities, which you're likely going to have to do anyway for other tiles that they haven't shown us yet. So I think this will help a lot if we do have to choose there. A couple other nice benefits that come from the Production Prodigy Relic is there's a chance that you actually get extra things when you're processing stuff. So you make potions, there's a 25% chance that you make an extra potion that just goes to your bank. So you're trying to make super combats and you have like 5 of them you can make. You'll probably end up with 6. You might even end up with a few more. So it's just kind of a nice thing for building up those supplies. And it's going to boost all of those production skills by plus 12. So it's going to kind of smooth out your progression throughout the game because you're going to be able to access all of these different high-level things at a way earlier point. Next tile we've got up here on the top is killing an ogress. These are the enemies that are over in the Corsair Cove. It's a really popular free-to-play area. And I mean, this one, outside of having to do the quest, but the quest takes like a couple of minutes. It's not a long process. This is going to be super easy. Probably one of the first ones that you can go do even, because you can safe spot the ogresses. And when you do so, this is going to unlock the combatant relic or skill, or however they want to call this thing here. And what this is going to allow you to do is select 3 combat skills, which includes prayer as well. So attack, strength, defense, hit points, range, magic, and prayer. You're going to pick one combat skill that whenever you get XP in that skill, 2 others that you pick are going to get 50% of that XP. So it's going to allow for more passive training. And I think really where this is useful is if you want to focus on one particular style. Let's say you want to focus on melee. Maybe you pick strength as the main one, and then you can pick something like ranged and magic as your secondary. Or if they have a relic that they haven't yet revealed, where maybe magic is going to be really easy to train, or maybe you've got a ton of chins so you're not worried about ranged, you can pick like strength, prayer, and magic, or strength, prayer, and ranged. Or maybe you want to speed up your melee training, you do strength, attack, defense. So there's a lot of options, a lot of opportunities that you can have and how this is set up. So essentially you're in the field training against the cows at early level, you hit a 5, you get like 20 strength XP, you also pick up 10 attack XP, 10 prayer XP. So it's going to make 2 of your combat skills passive, essentially. Now they do have a little Morse code thing here if you want to go through and solve that code. So if you're someone who likes to do that, don't want the spoilers, good luck to you. I tried, man. I don't think I'm a code breaker. I typed out, it's like Morse code in there. You know, I typed out the dots and the dashes. I had no clue what it was trying to say. But luckily, they give us a link, so we don't actually have to solve that one. It's just a nice little visual here saying essentially the same thing that they've already got, right? Pick a main skill, pick 2 others. The 2 others get 50% of the XP that you're going to get. Now, I have seen some discussion about what combinations people think are going to be the best. And I think we'll have to wait and see what some of the other reveals say, because there is something to be said that prayer can be a really powerful one to train, depending on what we have available to us. Because we'll have things like the Chaos Altar out in the wilderness where we can just dump bones into it and get some really, really fast XP. That was one of the skills that was quite easy to train last year when we had Golden God, because you could use GP instead of bones and get prayer XP. So if they end up having that similar thing available, it may actually make sense to pick prayer as your primary one and then do 2 other combat skills as your secondaries. So that way you can essentially max 3 of your combats with that stack of gold. Now, we don't have that relic shown to us yet, so I don't know if that's something that they're going to come back and give to us this year, but something to keep in mind. If they don't, then it's probably going to be better to pick a style that you're already going to be able to train really well. So if you have those chins, maybe you take ranged as your primary because that XP is going to be so fast, or magic because magic you're going to have access to things like ancients, so you're going to have AoE spells there. And then you can have your secondary be something like prayer and strength, or maybe like prayer and attack, depending on which one you don't want to train that much. Shoot, you could probably even do like attack and strength as your secondaries, just to make it easier to train your melees up. But that's just some things to kind of chew on until we get a little bit more information. So we'll have to wait and see what we want to lock in here as sort of like the best option. Now, the last tile that they've shown us is defeating a Jagex within the Inferno. These are the majors, so you only have to get a part of the way through the Inferno. I actually think you could probably do this pretty early. I mean, you do have to get a fire cape before you have access to the Inferno, so take that for what you will, but the fire capes are also normally quite easy to get, especially in leagues, because you'll probably be going in with either some really powerful combat abilities or maybe some, league-specific items. We don't have a lot of that information yet, but chances are you'll be getting a fire cape fairly quickly in the league. Maybe you're like 60, 70 combat, and you're going to be there like day one. I think it'll be really, really quick. By the time you're able to get that, I bet you could probably get to the majors here in the Inferno, but that is only on sort of like the mid-tier difficulty, so it's not intended to be that crazy. And once you do, we're going to be getting Slayer Master. This relic is one that I really loved last year. You're always on task whenever you're killing a Slayer monster, and you get all of the perks for free, so you don't have to worry about points. This one was super cool because not only were you getting a boost when you were just farming like random stuff, there were some other areas where it did count, like some bosses that you could get a little bit of extra damage on. So if it functions in the exact same way as it did last year, this makes Slayer completely passive. This makes farming things like the superiors a lot easier because you can just kill anything that has a superior whenever you want. And it also means that the Black Mask is going to give you, 15%, 20% damage on like basically everything in the game. I know it's not literally everything, but it's a lot of stuff. So you're going to feel really powerful after you unlock this, assuming that you have the Black Mask, but you'll be able to get that pretty quickly once you're here if you haven't trained Slayer already, because suddenly just about every creature that you kill is going to count as a Slayer monster. Now, of course, because this is interactable, I have to go through and I have to click like every single square just to make sure they're not hiding anything else, so one moment. Oh, I'm a secret? Flip me over to find out more. Let's do it. Well done. What do we earn? I'm not gonna lie, that sounds like pretty good. I really want a full version of the song. Can we get that? Is that allowed? I don't know. I probably can't even play much of that just because of YouTube copyright stuff, but okay. Clicking all these tiles to get rickrolled. Okay, fair enough. Well played, Jagex. Now, something that they haven't shown us yet, the way that this is going to work, obviously, from what they've shown here, completing a tile, we're going to get, some leagues-related boosts for this, but they've also said we're going to get powerful rewards whenever we complete a full row. We still don't know what those are, so I'll be really curious to see as we get a little bit closer what sort of powers they're going to give us here, because, man, some of these are going to be already, like, really strong. Passively training 2 combat skills, Slayer Master. This was like a tier 4, tier 5 relic by itself. If we get all 3 of these for gathering stuff, a lot of this stuff, it's gonna feel really strong. And also keeping in mind, this entire row and this entire column, these are all gonna be really easy tasks because they're already highlighted in green. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're able to just run through, these entire 2 in like the first day. We're gonna be really, really stacked really, really quickly. Now, one other one that I wanted to shout out here, because they did show us this like a day ago on Twitter. You've probably seen this image running around. There's one other tile here that looks a lot like a Lesser Demon. One of the classic things in leagues, and remember, this is a community-centered event, right? So one of the classic things for leagues is lining up to kill the lesser demon in the wizard's tower. I really hope that this isn't that specific demon and it's just any lesser demon, but I wouldn't put it past them to make this the lesser demon in the wizard's tower as one of the tasks. If so, I'm not doing it day one, man. You're not catching me there in the first couple hours at least, because it always takes forever. Everybody tries to go for that thing. It's safe spottable, so it's like a really easy task to pick up. What a shame if that ends up being a full tile. We don't have it confirmed, though. They could just be trolling here for all we know. But hey, food for thought, I suppose. And of course, with this, they also have a big FAQ question. I'm not going to go through every single one of these, but just kind of like the highlights for what they're talking about here. It is a seasonal mode. It's similar to Leagues where it's a separate profile. You're going to be an Iron Man, so you're also going to be able to earn points as you go through. This is separate to the League shop. They previously ran a vote on the cosmetic rewards. They all passed, so if any of these look good to you, then maybe this is something that you want to go for. We'll get these points as we complete tiles, as we complete rows and columns, so just by playing the game mode, you're going to earn those points, and my guess is by the time you've done everything there, you'll probably have enough to buy at least one of each of the things that is listed up there. Whether you want to commit to that, I guess we'll have to see what some of those harder tiles look like, because if it's like Leagues, not everybody gets the Dragon Cup in Leagues because, man, some of those tasks are just really difficult or really tedious. Since this is only for a month, maybe we won't have many of those, but something to think about. But for now, that is all the information that we have. So what do you think? Are you excited for Leagues but bingo? What are we calling this thing? Should we just keep calling it Gridmaster? I don't know. I feel like there has to be Leagues somewhere in the name because it is Leagues inspired, if nothing else. But if you want to catch any of the other leaks as they go through and do this leading up to the game mode, then definitely make sure to subscribe because I'm going to be covering all of the information as it comes out. While you wait for more information, highly recommend checking out my Zayalok series, linked over here. It's a fun run. Already up to episode 10, so that'll at least get you through to the next league. All right, I'll see you there.